Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Tech Beyond Gender. I'm your host, Meena Satish Kumar. Today, we have an exciting and inspiring episode lined up for you. Our guest today is Rachel Foong, a lead data analyst at AKQA, a tech and marketing consultancy agency. Rachel's journey is remarkable, offering a unique perspective as a fairly recent migrant who has navigated numerous career changes over the past decade here in New Zealand. She has been in the country for 10 years and has made significant contributions both professionally and within her community. Rachel is deeply passionate about helping communities grow and building strong networks. She's actively involved in running a toy library and organizing monthly networking events for data and analytics professionals. In this conversation, Rachel will share her experiences as an immigrant turned citizen and a woman who has transitioned through various career paths. Her insights will be incredibly valuable to anyone at different stages of their own career journey. Thank you, Rachel, for joining us. We're very much looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you, Meena. That was an amazing introduction. I've never had anyone introduce me like that. Thank you so much.
Can we start off listening to your story, your personal journey, and how you ended up in New Zealand tech sector?
Yeah, so I always had an interest in tech. As a high school student back in Malaysia, I used to spend a lot of my extra time building websites. I taught myself HTML and CSS from scratch. And back then, even though I didn't have Photoshop at my disposal, I remember slicing images from PowerPoint in order to get what I want on a website. And that interest grew into wanting to be a web designer / developer. And that led me to studying the States. And I studied there for 2.5 years. And my first job was as like a webmaster. That's what they used to call it when someone does web developing and designing at the same time. When I did that for a year, I realized that's not exactly what I wanted to do. So I came back to Malaysia. And I spent a lot of time in digital marketing, in areas like social media, project management, even for online fundraising. And that helped give me a really good, background for when I came to New Zealand. I remember back then I managed to network with a friend of mine that I knew since high school. I reached out to him and I asked him, "Hey, do you have any openings at where you worked?" And he said, "Yeah." And I managed to get an interview, and that happened to be a digital marketing agency which built websites, which lent a lot of advice to small businesses. And that got me into digital analytics. And I found my passion there. And that was then what took me on this path of about 10 years now into data analytics, looking beyond just small businesses. I've worked on government websites. I've worked in the retail space, and I've also worked in marketing automation, and also at Bank of New Zealand, looking at adoption of internal software, and also in how customers are buying into different products. Yeah, so now at AKQA, the transition has gone full circle back into more digital marketing and technology, which I love, and I'm very privileged to be part of.
So you've been in New Zealand for the last 10 years, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So what were some of the initial challenges you faced when you first moved to New Zealand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so having studied in the States, I was no stranger to a lot of cultural shocks, and so the cultural shock there in America was more around people not knowing where Malaysia was, people not knowing, the differences sometimes even in how Asians look, because Malaysia is just such a diverse country. We have, a blend of people from India and China and Bangladesh, and just it's a potpourri of Asians, and not many people realize that, and so I had that shock or challenge, you could say. Coming here was a bit of a surprise, actually. A lot of people knew about Malaysia. There were more Malaysian restaurants, and there were more Malaysians in Auckland. However, some of the challenges did come with working with initially with small businesses. Some I've got a lot of comments, mostly around because of the lack of I would say education. Some people were surprised at my level of English. Some people were, I would say, had certain stereotypes or certain reservations. I remember there was one client who didn't even want to meet with me after discovering I was, I have a Chinese background. And I also remember, going, to a meeting whereby the customer couldn't tell the difference between a Chinese girl on an ad banner and me. He thought I was the same person. And so it's just this kind of different, I would say, comments that are not necessarily racist, but just lacking in education about what Malaysia is and Asia in general. So beside those challenges, I've also had challenges with regards to my background. Not coming from a specifically data profession. And I managed to overcome a lot of self-doubt by just learning and keeping myself constantly challenged and motivated with what's going on in an industry. And as you know, being in a tech world, the pace of change is so rapid. And I just have to keep myself abreast with what's going on. And that, coupled with my desire to just learn and, that love of learning has allowed me to overcome that challenge. So, yes, I think that whenever I feel that, I don't have experience in this area, that's when I begin to reach out to others. I begin to learn, and I just bring myself to the next level, Yeah.
Awesome. Very inspirational, Rachel. How has your experience as a migrant woman, specifically from an Asian background, shaped your career in tech industry?
I honestly don't think about it too often that I'm a migrant and that I'm Asian. I try to think of myself as an individual with a background, a very diverse background in marketing, and different marketing technologies, and also having learned from a lot of the people I worked with about what is the business focus versus the customer focus. And I try to bring all these experiences to the table rather than focus on me being a migrant. It does come out sometimes, like experiences I have working in Malaysia that are very different to how things are in New Zealand. For example, the culture in Malaysia is more hierarchical and direct. But over here, I've had to adjust to that different dynamic. Where it's, people are more open, but also not as direct. And that's helped me mature in a way personally to see what the positives and negatives of my upbringing are, and how can I adapt to this new culture that also has positives and negatives. How can we find that inner compromise? I would say, to get the best outcomes. Yeah.
Great. Now, how did you navigate through some of the barriers and biases in the workplace?
So, fortunately, as I've moved away from working with small businesses into more enterprise level, I don't necessarily feel a lot of those biases come up. It may be quite, I would say, discreet. But how I manage to navigate that is to keep a mindset where I'm a professional and I have goals and ambitions. And it took me a lot of courage to make that very clear to whoever my manager was and whoever whoever my team is, and to just be clear about who I am and what I bring to the table. Whether those biases are because I'm female, I'm both female and a migrant, I've tried to make it more about the skills and value I bring to the table, so that I can, ensure that my voice is being heard. And I've also, I think I'm really lucky so far to not have a lot of cases of microaggression that you hear quite often with other migrants. I think that definitely the level of my education, and I'm really privileged. I've not been so I've not managed to succumb myself to being treated in such a way that I feel is rude and crosses a boundary. And whenever I feel that has come to that, I've managed to reach out to others who will have my back. And that's why I think that it's important to find allies in this space. I'm very lucky to work in a company that is also very diverse. We have, I feel like it's the most diverse company I've ever worked with. We come with both a good cultural mix and a good gender mix. And I've been managed to find I would call a safe space with a group of people that I'm comfortable, sharing my struggles with. So I guess, that's how I've managed to, overcome a lot of those personal challenges. Yeah.
Can you discuss any experiences where your cultural background was either a challenge or a benefit in your professional life?
So I definitely, having grown up in a diverse background like Malaysia, it's the sense of community that I think is a strong benefit that I have. I got asked once, I often call myself Malaysian. I don't call myself Chinese. And someone asked me once, how do Malaysians look like? And it felt quite pointed. It felt as though Malaysians only look one way. And my response to that was, well, we look human. We're all human. No matter what the color, no matter what, how our, different the DNA or genetic background looks like, we're all human. And we focus on that. Anyone who knows anything about Malaysia knows that we have a lot of racial divide. But in new generations, we've always been trying to overcome that, and I think that struggle is something I bring with me to always try to see how we can bridge the gaps between different communities, and that's why I love volunteering and networking. Just being able to see other people helps challenge my perspective on things. And especially with Dare Alex Wednesdays, I do come across a lot of migrants who are also new to the country and who are having trouble to adapt. And having these conversations with them also helps me grow, and I hope help them see that that this new country is not too much of a stranger. It's definitely something that they can belong to. Yeah.
Nice. What role have mentors and support networks played in your career development?
It's played a such a vital role. I've I never had a long-term mentor. I would love one if anyone is out in the market to be one. But yeah, I've always had allies and friends offer advice and support to me, and networking within the company, networking outside the company. I've met just different individuals that are really inspiring and have different views on life. And yeah, try to seek them out and try to have conversations with them to grow in my capacity and capability. Mm-hmm.
How do you think the tech sector in New Zealand is doing in terms of diversity and inclusion?
Definitely, well, from where I work, and even at Bank of New Zealand, I do see a very diverse group. I would say a lot of people from India, and I've also come across a lot of different departments having also a lot of people from other countries as well. I think that culturally it's diverse, but not so much gender-wise at a leadership level. So I'm just conscious that we're still not seeing a lot of women primarily, and also women from various cultures at a leadership level. It's still pretty much vanilla. But I think that, and I do see that changes are happening. A lot of companies are becoming more conscious of and having more DEI initiatives. And so I think that it's progressing in the right direction. Definitely, there needs to be something more, I guess, directive at a level, but not in the sense of having quotas. I don't believe in quotas. I believe that there needs to be equity, meaning that if we want to see more diversity, we need to be able to give the right tools and to set people up to succeed. People from different cultural backgrounds may have different reservations as to why they're not stepping up. And we need to be able to offer training and offer that kind of support. One thing I like about where we worked at BNZ is that different cultural celebrations are we have a little party for different cultures, whether it's Deepavali, whether it's Chinese New Year. It's something small but actually meaningful, because it opens up the conversation about culture, and that's not often discussed. You're expected to come as a professional. You're not expected to bring your culture with you, but you can't separate the culture from the person, and it's something that we have to, I guess, train leaders in how to have those how to have that culture consciousness and conversations that are respectful, because different folks, different strokes. How I speak to you may be different to how I speak to someone else, and that's the beauty of diversity, right? Yeah.
Very beautiful. I really loved your response to it. Really nice. What advice would you give to other migrant women of color who are aspiring to enter or grow within the tech industry?
From my chats that I've had with various women and various migrants, definitely confidence seems to be a strong challenge, especially in a new environment. I would encourage anyone to actually seek out, uh, people from either LinkedIn or from networking events. It helps to go out. It helps to talk to someone about what you're going through. And that's great for your mental sanity. It's great for just for no comparisons. Like someone else may have the same, maybe going through the same thing that you are. It helps to also then lean on the networks that the other person have. And I've had I've had people reach out to me on LinkedIn, mostly men. And I like to see that in women as well. People, women reaching out to me and say, "Hey, I'd like to have a coffee with you. I'd like to, hear what your story is." And often I see more women in women targeted events, not so much generic events. And I think it's that gap that we need to bridge. Probably also, I'm conscious that it's hard as a woman to go into an event not knowing who's there and who's who. It's as an event organizer, I guess we are also trying to make events more welcoming. And I make it a point to actually speak to someone I don't know every single event I go to. Yeah.
Great.
Mhm.
Are there any specific skills or qualities you think are essential for success in this field?
I would say that technical skills can be taught. It can be learned. It takes time, of course, and you definitely need patience and resilience for it. The main challenge will be, I think, something more mental, having to learn new things and in an industry that's always changing, and also having to then pick up those different ways of working. A lot of people who come into tech will be confused by like terminology, by like agile, and tools like Jira, and there's just so much jargon, and I think that's the biggest hurdle. But giving yourself time and allowing yourself to have that space to learn and make mistakes, because mistakes is a way forward, right? You're only going to progress when you take a step, and sometimes that step is a misstep, and that's okay. That's how we learn. And I've made a lot of mistakes in my past, but I've always tried to progress forward. So I think that that's really important to have that resilience mindset in tech, because at any point of time, like, especially with AI, there's that fear that AI is going to take away jobs. The real question is how can we then learn more about AI and apply it more toward our jobs, because the person who uses AI will be ahead of the rest. It's not that AI will take over jobs. It's more about how can we harness that technology. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What changes do you hope to see in New Zealand tech sector regarding the inclusion and support of migrant women?
I do hope to definitely have better onboarding processes, especially for migrants. Migrants who are coming to the country, they even struggle getting, for example, furniture, or knowing where to buy, or knowing how to settle down. And I think that onboarding experience needs to have a sort of welcome to New Zealand kind of moment or recognition. That, for example, it could be great if, when I first came to New Zealand, that I was given a packet saying these are common Kiwi terms, these are things that you got to look out for. And these are certain cultural issues that you may face, but here's how to deal with them. That would be great. I know it's a huge ask, definitely, but that will help that, I would say, belonging process smoother. And also setting up new migrants with networks and communities of their own. It doesn't need to be, within the same cultural community. It can be cross-cultural. And it's just about having that buddy, right? Having that buddy to take you along for this new journey that you're on, so that you don't feel alone. Because I think that's the biggest challenge any migrant would go through if they're coming alone. Especially a lot of people I know migrate for their families to seek a better future for their family, and they usually come alone, as I did. So yeah, it would have been helpful to have a buddy.
Looking back, what are some of the proudest moments in your career?
Definitely the proudest moments I have in my career is the privilege to have worked on a lot of major projects. I've worked on migrating platforms. I've worked on, training and doing reporting to different stakeholders from different countries. I have, been involved in projects, ensuring a transition from one software to another. And I've been involved in definitely conversations with, business owners where I've managed to provide data that influences change. I think that there's just so many moments. But the main theme I have is definitely that trust and privilege is something I'm proud of, and I've earned by putting my best foot forward and showing up every day to make sure that I'm getting the results that I'm after.
Awesome. How has your identity and background influenced your approach to work and leadership in the tech industry?
I'd say that, yeah, my identity and background, going back again to coming from a culture of acceptance and tolerance. I've been able to, I guess, as I mature, able to sort of bite my tongue a lot more and listen more to others who have differing viewpoints. And I'm always now conscious that we live in such a unique and rich world of different opinions, and we are better together once we're able to listen to each other. And so curiosity really drives me. If you ever talk to a Malaysian, food really connects us, and we're always curious to discover new things. And I also bring that to my workplace. I try to find like lunch buddies, who are willing to try different places to eat. And that's helped me, really network within the company as well.
Awesome, Rachel. It was really nice to hear your stories, your background. I didn't really know anything about you when we organized it. And I'm very pleased that we had this opportunity to just have this conversation and to get to know you better. Are there any final thoughts from your end?
No, I'm just really grateful again for the opportunity, and I would just encourage anyone who wants to break out to just not be shy around the opportunities that present themselves.
Great. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you so much for your time.